Hi guys, I'm Noah. Today I'll be giving a refutation speech on Joshua Cannett's speech. Now, Joshua's main claim is widespread implementation of driverless vehicles will reduce the number of accidents on the roadway. Now, his secondary claims supporting his major claim are a driverless car has better situational awareness. 2, driverless cars reduce gridlock. 3, many of the technologies in autonomous vehicles are already options being marketed to consumers. Now, in response to his first claim, Joshua claims that computers cannot make any mistakes. Now, he explicitly says this, that computers are meant to follow directions that they are given. No matter what, they cannot not follow these rules. Now, his evidence right there can already be contradicted by this claim that I have right here. And on May 7th, 2016, in Williston, Florida, Joshua Brown put his Tesla S in autopilot mode. Now, unfortunately for Joshua Brown, this resulted in the crash into a semi-truck vehicle. Now, the reason why it crashed was because the Tesla S car could not recognize the truck. Now, its programming would have normally stopped it from hitting the truck, but in this case, it failed. So his first claim saying that computers cannot fail no matter what, it's already contradicting itself. Now, in a counterclaim to his first claim still, Ajia Shuklin for Kaspery's Lab Daily brings up a scenario where he challenges autonomous vehicles' directions. Now, imagine you're in an autonomous vehicle driving down the road. There are 2 cars beside you, so you can't pass them and they can't necessarily pass you yet. And then a child runs in the middle of the street. Now, what the vehicle is designed to do is hit the emergency brakes and hope not to hit the kid. Well, what a human would do is more than likely hit one of the vehicles in hopes that the airbags will inflate and not hit the kid. Now, now the reason I bring up this claim is because the reason I bring up this claim is autonomous vehicles have problems following certain guidelines that normal people would not. So that kind of contradicts the claim that autonomous vehicles will reduce the likelihood of accidents. Now, going on to the second claim that driverless vehicles reduce gridlock. In the evidence that he presented by Paula Merchancy and Wendy Wayhamers, they propose that once driverless vehicles become more mainstream, it will reduce gridlock. But if you look in these authors' PDF, the evidence they presented in their PDF, the authors also note that other research is still in hypothesis in that stage. So not everything should be taken to heart, or it's not 100% proof yet. And Joshua also claims that driverless vehicles that during a gridlock, there is a higher chance for accidents, which the authors contradict that with themselves. So his evidence right there kind of is lacking. He also states that once autonomous vehicles become more mainstream, that traffic will be reduced. But on an article by, an article by an article by Daily UK. These authors stated that that once autonomous vehicles become more mainstream, it will actually increase traffic because less people will be using public transportation. Now, the reason behind this is autonomous vehicles deliver what they promise. People use them so they don't waste time driving, and so they can do other things such as work. But if a person can drive their car rather than taking a train or a bus while they're working, then they're gonna buy an autonomous vehicle and go on and be on the road a lot more, which kind of contradicts his claim that there will be less traffic. And lastly, for his last claim, he states that many of his technologies in autonomous vehicles are already options being marketed to consumers. And this doesn't really have anything to do with less accidents on the road. He just kind of put that in there because it's a nice, cool feature of autonomous cars, I believe. So it didn't really have anything to do with his major claim. And that's Joshua Kennett's me refuting Joshua Kennett's.
Right, the structural stuff is all good. On the first point, you've got two counterclaims. The first of those counterclaims is based on the example of the car crash, and the second one is a hypothetical scenario. You call them counterclaims, but you basically present evidence, and then you kind of give us a claim at the end of that section of the argument. And generally, you want to make the claim first and then use the evidence to support that claim so we know exactly what it is you're trying to prove. I understand the point that you've got there. It's a good point. It does respond to that particular point, but clarity, I think, is a little problematic as a consequence. On the second issue on gridlock, you've got some information where you basically say the evidence that the advocate used is based on hypotheticals and hopes, and that seems reasonable since we don't have full autonomous cars right now. The theory that it would result in increased traffic because people would discontinue using public transportation, well, the concept of the theory is explained, but this is just as equally hypothetical as the example that you illustrated the opposite position with a second ago. The dismissal of the third point as relevant, I thought you needed to explain a little bit more. I think I understand the point that you're making. In essence, none of those points demonstrate that there would be decreased accidents. It only talks about how soon this kind of stuff is going to be available. There might be an argument that the advocate's making that said that we are on this track and it's going to happen sooner. I don't remember that was part of their argument, in which case, this would be relevant. But from your point of view, when it comes to whether or not it is going to prevent accidents, I can see why you would want to dismiss it there. All right. Thank you.